Dear seeker, before you try to understand yourself, before you attempt to improve, heal, awaken, or transcend, pause for a moment. Right now, in this very instant, something is undeniably present. You may call it me, I, or simply being. It is here before any thought appears, before any question arises, before any effort begins. Most of your life has been spent adding things to this simple presence, names, stories, identities, struggles, and hopes, yet you have rarely been invited to look at what remains when all of that is set aside. What if self-inquiry was never meant to be a spiritual practice you perform, but a quiet recognition of what has always been aware? What if the question, who am I, was never intended to be answered, repeated, or used as a technique, but simply to turn your attention back to its own source? The life of Ramana Maharshi reveals something radical in its simplicity. Truth does not arrive through seeking, effort, or accumulation. It reveals itself when the mind momentarily stops running outward and collapses inward into stillness. As a young boy, he was not searching for liberation, enlightenment, or meaning. He was not reading scriptures or following a path. And yet, in a single moment of profound inward attention, triggered by the fear of death, everything fell away. What remained was not an experience, not a vision, not an altered state, but an unshakable clarity. I am not what comes and goes. Dear seeker, this video is not here to teach you philosophy or give you another method to practice. It is an invitation to listen differently, to sense rather than think, to recognize rather than achieve. If you stay with this not as a learner, but as awareness itself, you may discover that what you are seeking has never been distant, hidden, or missing. It has only been overlooked. Dear seeker, self-inquiry did not arise in Ramana's life as a chosen spiritual path, nor as a practice he decided to adopt. It emerged naturally, spontaneously, without preparation or intention. At the age of 16, an overwhelming fear of death suddenly seized him, not due to illness, danger, or outer cause, but as a mysterious inner event. Instead of running from it or seeking comfort, his attention turned inward with complete intensity. He lay down, stretched out his body, and allowed the fear to fully express itself. He noticed the body becoming still, the breath stopping, the senses withdrawing, and the mind falling silent. Yet in the midst of this apparent death, something unmistakable remained awake, present, and untouched. There was a clear recognition that the body could perish, but the sense of I did not. This was not a conclusion reached through reasoning, it was an immediate seeing. In that moment, inquiry happened without a question being asked. Awareness simply recognized itself. There was no effort involved, no struggle to understand, no attempt to escape fear. The false identification with the body fell away on its own, like a garment dropped without resistance. What remained was not an idea of immortality, but the direct knowing of being beyond birth and death. Dear seeker, this is crucial to understand. Self-inquiry was not something Ramana did, it was something that happened when attention turned completely inward. Truth did not come as a result of seeking, it revealed itself when the seeker disappeared. This is why Ramana later emphasized that inquiry is not an action performed by the mind, but a natural resting of attention in its own source. Dear seeker, when Ramana later spoke the words, "Who am I?" he was not offering a method to be practiced or a question to be repeated like a mantra. These words were only a pointer, a gentle turning of attention back toward its origin. The mind is accustomed to moving outward, toward thoughts, sensations, memories, and objects, and so the question appears to help reverse this habitual flow. But Ramana never intended for you to sit and mentally ask the question again and again, searching for an answer. Any answer that arises is only another thought, and thoughts can never reveal what is prior to them. The purpose of the question is fulfilled the moment thinking pauses and attention rests in the sense of I itself. This is not inquiry through analysis, but inquiry through direct noticing. When a thought appears and claims, "I think," inquiry gently asks, to whom does this thought arise? Attention then turns toward the feeling of me, not to define it, but simply to observe it. In that observation, the mind naturally quiets because it has no object to grasp. Dear seeker, this is why "Who am I?" is not a technique. A technique requires effort, repetition, and control. Inquiry, as Raman lived it, is effortless attentiveness. It is awareness becoming aware of itself. When done correctly, there is no strain, no tension, and no expectation of result. The moment you are trying to do inquiry, you have already moved away from it. But when attention gently settles back into its own source, the question dissolves on its own, leaving only stillness. That stillness is not something you create, it is what remains when false effort falls away. Dear seeker, as self-inquiry spread beyond Ramana's silent presence and entered the realm of words, many sincere seekers began to misunderstand its simplicity. One of the most common mistakes is trying to answer the question, "Who am I?" The mind immediately searches for a description, awareness, consciousness, the self, the witness, and feels satisfied when a spiritual-sounding conclusion appears. But every answer, no matter how subtle, is still only a thought, and thought can never reveal what exists before thought. Another mistake is turning inquiry into a hunt for experiences. Seekers wait for silence, bliss, visions, or a dramatic shift in perception, assuming these will confirm success. Yet Raman repeatedly pointed out that all experiences arise and pass, while you, the knower of experience, remain unchanged. Chasing experiences only strengthens the sense of being a seeker moving toward a future state. A deeper misunderstanding occurs when inquiry is used as a tool for self-improvement or ego destruction. The one who wants to become pure, free, or enlightened is the very identity being questioned. Trying to destroy the ego is like a thief pretending to be a policeman searching for himself. Dear seeker, Raman never taught suppression, force, or inner warfare. He did not ask you to fight the mind, control thoughts, or reject emotions. He simply invited you to look directly at the sense of I that claims ownership over them. In that clear seeing, without judgment or resistance, the false center loses its grip naturally. Like a shadow examined in sunlight, it fades not through effort, but through understanding. Dear seeker, in the beginning, self-inquiry may seem to require effort because the mind has been conditioned for years to move outward, toward problems to solve, goals to reach, and identities to maintain. Turning attention inward can feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable, and so it appears as though you are doing something. But as inquiry deepens, a subtle yet profound shift occurs. You begin to notice that attention does not actually belong to a personal doer. Awareness is already aware, without needing instruction or force. The sense of effort arises only when the ego believes it must control the process. Raman often pointed out that effort itself belongs to the mind, not to the self. When attention rests naturally in the feeling of I, without trying to hold it or manipulate it, effort falls away on its own. This dropping of effort is not something you make happen, it happens when false identification relaxes. Dear seeker, this is why Raman emphasized that silence is the highest teaching. Silence does not mean the absence of sound or thought, but the absence of the sense of being a doer who must achieve something. In that silence, inquiry is no longer practiced, it is lived. There is no longer someone asking a question and waiting for an answer. The question dissolves, and what remains is simple being. Action may still occur, thoughts may still arise, but they are no longer owned by a separate self. Effort ends not because inquiry succeeds, but because the one who believed effort was necessary is no longer taken to be real. Dear seeker, self-inquiry, as Raman lived and pointed to it, is not something reserved for special moments of meditation or withdrawal from daily life. It is not an altered state you enter, nor a sacred mood you must create. It is the most ordinary and intimate recognition of what is already present. Right now, beneath every thought, emotion, and perception, there is a simple sense of I am. Not, I am this, or I am that, but the bare feeling of being. Inquiry gently invites attention to rest there, without trying to improve it, deepen it, or hold on to it. Thoughts may continue to arise, feelings may move through the body, and the world may appear exactly as before. Nothing needs to be pushed away. Nothing needs to be fixed. Dear seeker, this is where many expect something dramatic and miss what is subtle. Inquiry does not silence life, it reveals the silence in which life appears. Ramana lived an outwardly simple life, walking, eating, responding when spoken to, yet inwardly there was unbroken stillness. That stillness was not maintained through discipline or control, it was natural because there was no longer a false center claiming ownership of experience. When inquiry matures, you do not feel separate from life. You feel intimately present with it. The sense of being a watcher standing apart dissolves, leaving only seamless happening. This is self-inquiry as living experience, not a practice you perform, but a recognition you quietly remain as. Dear seeker, when self-inquiry reaches its natural fulfillment, it does not withdraw you from the world or turn you into someone distant and detached. On the contrary, life continues much as it always has. The body moves, speech happens, relationships unfold, and responsibilities are met. What changes is not the outer form of life, but the inner sense of ownership. The idea that you are a separate doer, carrying the weight of existence on your shoulders, quietly dissolves. Actions still arise, but they are no longer claimed. Decisions still happen, but there is no anxiety about outcomes. Dear seeker, Ramana never encouraged renunciation of action or escape from daily living. He pointed instead to freedom within activity, the freedom of knowing that the self is never involved in action at all. Just as the sun is not affected by the activities it illuminates, awareness remains untouched by the movements of life. From this understanding, compassion flows naturally, not as a moral effort but as an expression of unity. There is no longer a rigid boundary between me and others. What appears as service, kindness, or presence happens effortlessly. Life is lived, but no one is burdened by living it. This is the quiet fruit of self-inquiry, not a dramatic transformation of personality, but the simple recognition that what you truly are has always been free, whole, and at rest, even while life continues to unfold. Dear seeker, before you move on from this moment, allow a short pause. Not to think about what was said, not to measure your understanding, but simply to notice that you are here, aware, present, and untouched by the movement of thoughts. The teaching shared through the life of Ramana was never meant to be remembered as information or carried as belief. It was meant to be lived quietly, in the midst of ordinary moments. You do not need to protect it, explain it, or turn it into something special. Each time you remember to rest as the simple sense of being, inquiry is already complete. Let life continue exactly as it is, with its duties, relationships, and challenges, and notice how they arise and dissolve within the same silent presence that has never left you. Dear seeker, if something in this video resonated, not emotionally, but in a deeper, wordless way, honor that recognition by staying with it gently, without rushing to name it or claim it. Truth ripens in stillness, not in effort. If this message spoke to you, I invite you to share from your own experience. Write a comment below, not to impress, but to reflect honestly. What did you notice while listening? Or what does, "Who am I?" mean to you right now? Your words may quietly help another seeker who is listening from the same place of questioning. And if you feel drawn, let me know what you would like to hear next. Would you like a video on silence as Ramana's true teaching, on living inquiry in daily life, or on the subtle difference between awareness and attention? This space grows through shared sincerity, not through numbers alone. Stay close to what is simple, remain open, and trust the quiet knowing that guided you here. Until we meet again in stillness, dear seeker, Jai Gurudev.